The result of the division is ayes 43, noes 12. The matter is resolved in the affirmative. The bill has passed.
Well done!
Well done!
Hey everyone, Creasy here. After years of talk, a nationwide postal survey, much whinging from both sides, and someone finally getting around to headbutting Tony Abbot, which, let's be honest, is long overdue, the Australian Senate has finally passed the same-sex marriage bill. After a week of frantic deliberation over religious freedom, the result was an almost total rout for the Conservative position. Now, as someone who is a staunch supporter of same-sex marriage, you might think that I'd be very happy with this outcome. But you'd be wrong, and let me explain why. We live in a world where the Conservatives want the freedom to choose who they do business with, but also want the government to stop gays from getting married. While on the other hand, the gay lobby wants the government out of their bedrooms, but also wants the government to force Conservatives to bake them cakes. Chain them to the ovens, they say. Think about all this, and ask yourself the question that no one's been asking. What's more important to you? Winning freedom for the people you want to support, or controlling people that you disagree with? That's the debate that's really been played out over the last few decades, and both sides have come down very heavily on the side of control. What do we gain from controlling others if we lose nothing from letting them be free?
Little people. Why can't we all just get along?
The recent nationwide postal survey was so successful for the Yes campaign that it gave them a mandate to push through 100% of the changes that they wanted, and to have the Conservative majority push them through no less. It's pretty telling that even after that, they're still complaining that the survey was a waste of time and money. From the start of the campaign, they've been staunchly against even discussing the issue. Hey, if you want to convince other people, the last thing you want to do is talk about it, right? These idiots should have been clamouring for debate on the issue, but up until the last minute, they've refused to even come to the table. Their claim was that debate might turn nasty, even when there was no evidence of that actually happening. Grow a backbone, guys. Stand up and fight for your rights, for God's sake. Fight and win. No, that was just an excuse. The fact is, they didn't want the support of the Australian people. They wanted their change pushed through, regardless of whether other people wanted it or not. It's just lucky that they happened to want it. If this was just asking for their right to get married, that would be fine, but it's not just that, and we know it. They also wanted to push through laws that placed obligations on other people, and to do that without the consent of those people. Now that is a problem. Look, defending homophobes is not the hill I'm going to die on, believe me. But in this instance, I'm not convinced that bigotry is the only reason that some people oppose this thing. Yes, there are some people that are like that, but there's other things going on here as well. Discrimination against gay people sounds wrong, and is wrong, and we definitely don't want it in our society. But let's look at things from a slightly different perspective. Do you think that people should be forced to do things that they personally believe to be immoral? Now, you can disagree with them on what's immoral, and still recognise that they have their own view and a right to that view. Within limits, a free society should be able to accommodate different conceptions of morality, and it's this diversity of thought that makes our society an interesting place to live, even if it causes conflict sometimes. If we don't do this, then how can we be free? And if we don't tolerate people with alternative viewpoints, how can we learn from them? How can we grow? If we always allow the majority to dictate the moral framework of society, what if the majority is wrong? What if we find ourselves on the outside of the status quo on some issue? Well, you're fresh out of luck there, Sonny Jim. If we don't support freedoms for those we disagree with, then why should they support us in return? Do we want society to give us the freedom to follow our own moral beliefs, or do we want to force the rest of society to adopt our beliefs? They're mutually exclusive. And if you choose the second one, there's no guarantee that your side is going to win. If everyone is free, then we all win. But who wants that, right? If our goal is to increase freedom of all people in society, then this whole issue becomes a no-brainer. Gay marriage is a right that can be bestowed on people without placing obligation on anyone else. Conservatives can be given the option to opt out of participating in gay weddings without any real impact on gay people, except perhaps maybe a few hurt feelings.
Stewie, calm down. Sometimes in life, you just have to accept what's coming to you.
I mean, If these people don't like you, why the hell would you want to do business with them anyway? Remember, if their freedoms are being restricted, then it's likely that your freedoms can be restricted in the same way. Do you want to be forced to do business with people that you don't like? Or do you just think these rules will only ever apply to other people? Now, we can argue that we don't want hatred in our society, and we don't. We can argue that people should always be nice to each other, and they should. But ask yourself this: is it the right solution to this problem to have the government force everyone to be nice to each other? Should we be arresting people just for being jerks? And if so, who decides who the jerks are? Well, I know the answer. It's the people who are in power. Now, what if suddenly they decide that you're the jerk?
You're a jerk. You're a jerk.
None of this stops other people from hating each other. All we're doing here is relaxing government control of one group and increasing their control of another group. In the absence of any real harm, what we should be doing is relaxing control of both groups. The answer is conversation and not government force. The sad reality is that if we were able to separate the question of gay marriage from the question of religious freedom, then we would have had gay marriage in this country 20 years ago. The fact that no one has made this distinction just shows that the left and right are far more interested in scoring points on the other side than they are in winning the rights they claim to be advocating for. For one thing, it shows that the gay lobby was more than willing to throw gay people under the bus just to control the conservatives. So now they've won that control. And the only real thing that's been achieved for gay people is decades of delay. But that's okay, it's politics. You can just point the finger at the other side and pretend it's their fault, right? So what do we do now that this issue's been resolved? Well, perhaps rights for one group have moved forward, but the cause of liberty for all, well, that's gone backwards. Anyway, that's all I have to say on this. Interested to know what you think, please leave a comment below. Chrissy out.